before you brick, stop right there. I need to stop right there. You need to stop. I know you want to cast your goddamn Wishful Resin. I know you want to spend your variable dice. I need you to stop right there before you commit an eternity of breaking for your Honkai Starbucks account, ladies and gentlemen. So today we are going to be talking about before, instead of like before you pull, before you skip, before you spend your variable dice as well as Wishful Resin. Here are some extremely important things to know because it could cause you irreversible damage to your account. Exactly, right? I'm sure you don't want that. First of all, we are talking strictly from a probability-based perspective. So if you are a gambler, then just go for it, right? If you are someone that does not believe in math and you believe that you can just win them all, then just do whatever you want, right? We are talking about how can we make the best use of our Wishful Resin as well as variable dice, because these items are not that plentiful. For your Wishful Resin, you have up to 3 of these a month, as well as using Relic Fragments, which is 2, right? So you basically have 5 a month. 5 a month, assuming they can actually craft them all. As well as you get a little bit more. I think 2 more from the Battle Pass. So it's not a very common material. This is gonna be needing 3 of the self-modeling resin to craft 1 variable dice, right? I think you get roughly around the same amount as self-modeling every single month. So all these resources, they are rare, and you do not want to waste them. So how exactly do they work? The normal method last time is, for example, you wanted to craft a attack percentage or whatever. You want to craft a attack percentage, you will spend 1 self-modeling resin to craft 1. Now with Wishful Resin, for 1 substat, it can actually lock to be guaranteed that specific substat. But if you want 2, so for example, you want an attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage, it will be 4 Wishful Resin. And yes, if you craft this, it is not guaranteed to be a natural 4 roll. So there is a possibility that it could just be a natural 3 roll, but 2 of them being your crit rate, crit damage, right? So either it's a 3 roll or a 4 roll natural. It is completely RNG dependent. So how do we make the best use of Wishful Resin, self-modeling resin, as well as variable dice? This is the first thing you guys need to understand before you craft. I made this video 1 year ago on my channel on the main stats and substats probability in Honkai Starbucks. Generally speaking, the numbers are more or less exactly the same because we have not gotten any brand new main stat or substat, right? So if you want to take a look, feel free to go to this video. This was from 1 year ago, where we essentially break down what are the odds of each of this, namely your sphere, rope, chest, and boots, because your helmet and your gloves, they are basically fixed main stat, right? So you can see over here, way back in the day, it is roughly 9% is going to be the lowest odds of a healing chest, and your crit rate, crit damage, as well as CHR is roughly 10%. Then for your boots, speed boots is drastically lower compared to HP, attack, and defense. And then your elemental sphere is going to be the lowest because it's going to be a 9.12% per element, and there are a shit ton of different elements in Honkai Starbucks. And then for your rope, ER rope is the most difficult main set to obtain in Honkai Star at a mere 5.68%. This is from a sample size from 2023 July of 13,000 relics. So I'm pretty sure after combining the main stat and subset and the numbers for the past 2 years, it will probably change a little bit, but it wouldn't differ too much. And I'm sure you will all know how difficult it is to get, like, for example, an ER rope, right? To get like a crit chest, to get the right elemental sphere, or to get a speed boost, right? So I think these numbers are more or less the same. Now, why do I say this is important? It's because whichever dice you craft in the game, different main stats and substats, they will have inherently different values. They will have different values. What I mean to say is, for example, if you wanted to craft a, let's just say a HP rope, right, for your blade. If you wanted to craft a HP percentage rope, the odds of you getting this is not worth it, especially if you want to spend Wishful Resins. it is not worth it compared to, for example, an energy regeneration rope for your support. On the flip side, if you wanted to, let's just say, craft attack percentage boots, because technically attack percentage boots, a lot of people use them, it is still technically not worth it because the odds of you getting an attack percentage boot, it is much higher compared to, for example, speed boots, right? So an attack percentage boots with the crit ratio, it is going to be more common compared to a speed boots. So because of these numbers, different main stats would have inherently different values, and this will tell us which relics, which main stat with which subset is gonna be the best bang for your buck for your Wishful Resin. So I'm gonna split this into two. First portion, we'll talk about how do you spend Wishful Resin, and then the second portion, how do you spend your variable dice. You know that we have a salvage system, right? The brand new salvage system, it gives you the ability to convert all of these plus 15, plus 12, plus 9, plus 8. You can convert them all into a choice of Relic Remains. It can be either your EXP or the Relic Remains. Generally speaking, for every single plus 15 relic that you fodder, it is going to lead to a roughly 2,300 EXP loss. Because if you were to use this to be a normal Relic EXP, right, this would be worth 60,000. So you're kind of losing out 2,300 if you were to fodder this into 400 relic fragments. But this doesn't mean that it is always a bad move to fodder a plus 15 into remains. And the reason why is because you have the benefit of using these remains to craft an inefficient set. So if I just want to divert to one of the most popular set across all of CN, all of Zero Cyclers, the 4-piece ego set. Now this shit is ridiculously annoying to farm because no one and their moms are using the 4-piece hunter, right? Nobody is using this in 2024, 2025, but this set is really, really good. So if you are able to, sacrifice these relic remains and pump them into Ego 4-piece, you are technically going to be saving effectively half of the stamina needed to get an Ego 4-piece, assuming that it is a 50-50 rate of getting Ego or getting the Hunter set, right? So sometimes it's better to get your remains, sometimes it's better to get your EXP. So at the end of it all, it really depends on what do you prioritize more in Honkai Starbucks. For example, if you are somebody that doesn't really care about getting your niche sets or like inefficient sets, so if you don't care about, like, for example, 4-piece Ego, or if you don't care about, let's just say, 4-piece Quantum, right? Because nobody cares about Wandering Guard set, right? So if you don't care about these like inefficient sets, and you're somebody that only cares about the new sets, because the new sets, they are very, very efficient, right? If you want to farm the new sets, like the Diver as well as the Break set, both of these are very, very useful, right? The Duran as well as Iron Cavalry, they're also very, very useful, right? Sacredos as well as Scholar, they're all very useful for the new sets. But if it's someone that specifically wants the old sets, like the 4-piece Eagle or 4-piece Quantum, then getting these Relic Remains would be more worth it for you because you don't have to waste half your stamina getting them. On the flip side, if you don't want to care about these, I would say it is a better choice to just convert them into Relic EXP, especially if you do not have enough Relic EXP. I don't know about you, I have like 20,000 over remains. I have saved them for a very long time. At the end of the day, I still find myself needing a little bit more EXP compared to the Relic Remains. That's for me personally. And I have not spent it for a very long time, which, stay tuned for another future video. So, depends on what do you prefer if you want EXP or remains, right? So, there's a quick little thing I want to get out of the way. Now we jump into variable dice. Sorry guys, I have nuclear ADHD, kind of just got off topic. How do you spend your Wishful Resin? I would like to present to you this beautiful chart created by the CN community. You don't have to read all that, just the math, just numbers. I'm gonna bring you guys to the most important sheet over here. This is the most important number that you guys need to take note of. By descending order, it will list the main stat with the substat, the highest value for your resins, right? For your resins. So the numbers here pretty much say this is going to be an energy regeneration rope double crit. The reason why this is worth so many of these relic remains, right? This is going to be Yiqi Senhan, which this is going to be your relic remains. This is equivalent to 6,720 relic remains. The thing is, most DPS don't really use an ER rope with double crit, right? Because factoring in the fact that ER rope is going to be one of the most difficult to obtain main stat, double crit is even more difficult to obtain, right? It is even, which is why this value is so high. But because most of us don't really use this ER rope double crit, the next best value is going to be your damage sphere. Your damage sphere will hold the highest value, second to ER with double crit, getting the crit rate, crit damage sphere worth roughly 4,480 Relic Remains. Then slightly below that is going to be your ER rope with speed. Right, this is going to be your ER rope with speed. So between these two, you might be thinking, okay, so do I just go ahead and craft the elemental sphere with double crit because there's more value? No! Why is that the case? Because you need to spend 4. You need to spend 4 of these if you want to get a double crit, which also means the best value in Honkai Star Rail in terms of this Wishful Resin, the best bang for buck, is going to be your energy regeneration rope with a single speed subset. And I'm pretty sure I speak for almost everybody here. This shit is impossible to find, bruh. It is impossible to find. I swear, I've been playing this game for 2 years. I have never once gotten a single ER rope with more than 4 speed. And I've been playing this game for 2 years. It's in-fucking possible. Best bang for buck, generally speaking, would be the ER rope with a speed subset selector costing only 1 self-modern resin and 1 wishful resin. But wait! There's also another condition that doesn't mean you just all in this ER speed route. What do you think is gonna be more important in a team? The build of your supports with high speed or the build of your DPS, specifically crit DPS, with a high crit ratio? Generally speaking, I would say majority of players, even if you didn't get the ER rope with speed subset, you can kind of get by, right? Because this one single line of speed, it might not change everything for support unless you're specifically trying to hit the very specific threshold. Whereas your main DPS, crit ratio for your crit DPS is almost everything. It quite literally is one of, if not the most important factors for all of your crit DPS. If you want to talk about upgrades to your team, double crit for your DPS will give you a better performance increase compared to a ER speed rope for your supports. That being said, getting a double crit for your DPS is also going to be costing you, again, 4 wishful resins. Specifically, I'm talking about the sphere, right? This is going to be technically the highest value. So at the end of it all, it really kind of depends on what your account is lacking. If you're a player that has no issues with your crit DPS, or if you're playing Super Break, or if you're playing DOT, right? If you don't really care about this double crit DPS, and you want to focus on this, specifically the ER rope with speed, because you want to improve your support, heck, maybe you want to give your Kafka ER rope with speed if she becomes a driver in the future, right? Then getting ER rope with speed is technically more valuable for you. Aside from the rope as well as the sphere, speed boots is gonna be the next best option. But this does fall off by quite a bit because the main stat distribution for speed, it is technically much higher compared to your rope as well as elemental, because this is already at a double-digit 12%. Not to mention, you farm your Kevin 4-piece a little bit more frequently compared to your planar as well, right? So speed boots, although they are basically the next best thing, it is going to be a considerable Relic Remain drop-off in terms of the value you're getting. And after that, it's going to be your attack damage sphere. It's also going to be falling off quite a little bit. And this is going to be your crit rate, crit damage. Either if you want to crit damage speed, and then this is the corresponding crit subset, or roughly around this ballpark. Everything else behind, I would say it is not worth it. One last thing before we jump into the variable dice is you also want to kind of see what are you lacking. So for example, if you're a player that already has a speed boots with double crit, but you're just lacking that crit rate or crit damage body with the corresponding crit subsets, then it would be worth it for you to consider just filling up this gap. Because filling up a gap, if you're able to fill it, it means that you can just move on to the next domain. So you can start crafting a brand new set for your upcoming future DPS. Now, your variable dice is completely different. This variable dice, it has a very, very different criteria as to who should get the reroll, right? So I'm gonna kind of use this as like an example, right? This is perfect. Nothing to reroll. If you want to use your variable, or rather, yeah, if you want to use your variable dice, there's another sheet for you guys to consider, which is this sheet right here. The lower this number is, the worse are your relic quality. So this is fun, which is point. So 2 points, it means that you got 2 good rolls, right? So that's pretty much gonna be a crit or crit damage. So 2 good rolls, 3 good rolls, 4 good rolls, blah 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 blah, so on and so forth, right? So the more perfect a roll is, the more undesirable it is for you to spend it, right? Obviously. In terms of the maximum value, it is also going to be sorted from this, assuming that you are using this on the initial 4-liner, right? You want to use this on the initial 4-liner. Never use your variable dice on an initial 3-liner, because not only are you losing 1 potential free roll at the start, it also means that you can only upgrade that dice to 4 rolls maximum instead of 5 rolls. So never use this on a natural 3, only on natural 4s. So the highest value as of this current moment, if you want to use your variable dice, is going to be a elemental sphere with only 2 good rolls. This will give you a rough score of 1,231. Right? And then 3 rolls, 4 rolls, blah, blah, and the number kind of goes from there for your elemental sphere. Then your speed boots. So if you only have 2 good rolls on the speed boots, the values are honestly very, very similar. I would say that they fall quite a bit compared to your elemental sphere, right? But the numbers are very, very similar. And I would say for this specifically, nobody should be thinking about this, right? I would say that a 4 roll is at a point where the only reason why you would want to roll this, if you have a 4 roll already, you are chasing perfection. And at the end of the day, this is a game of numbers and probability. And unfortunately, for Wishful, or rather the variable dice, you can actually roll worse. It doesn't guarantee you rolling better. Case in point, I'll just pull up this example right here. Yeah, this could happen to you. Alright, so every single time you roll, even though you're trying to take probability into consideration, you always must accept the fact that it could just not go your way. Most of the time, I would never recommend players trying to improve a relic quality that already has 4 good rolls, right? 4 points. So that is gonna be that. And then kind of just move back into the numbers real quick. Your attack rope onwards, they are gonna be having a lot less value. Why? Because an attack percentage rope, or even your attack percentage shoe, their main stats are more common. You can frankly just farm them from scratch if you want to again. So in terms of priority in the best bang for buck, it's gonna be lower compared to things like your elemental damage sphere or even speed boots. Notice how there isn't a energy regeneration rope with speed or a crit rate / crit damage chest with 1 out of crit. Now the reason why that is because they are fucking useless. Do not spend your variable dice on a relic that only has 1 substat you're gunning for. Because when this thing rerolls, it is reshuffling everything to all 4 substats. So if you're aiming for only a 1-liner, which is like, for example, speed in ER or crit with a crit chest, you are effectively fucking yourself in the ass. You are doing a 25-75 instead of 50-50, which in terms of probability is absolutely horrible. It should only be a double crit, natural 4 roll, and the highest value would be your elemental damage sphere. If you want to spend it on speed boots, that's also not too bad. But these are the only few options that you should be using your variable dice for. You should never use this for like your helmet and gloves because they already have fixed main stats, so you can eventually farm that anyways. This is just a horrible option because you're basically only looking for 1 line unless you care about the speed, like a speed plus crit. But that is a very niche situation. So generally speaking, these 2 are the only relics that you would consider running this variable dice for. In conclusion, have my chat learned anything? So what is the conclusion here, guys? All in red. All in red. So my chat learned nothing. Okay, anyways, I've kind of come to the end of my video. I hope that this video was helpful because I've seen people like Tectone fucking spending what 7,000 relic fragments to craft body pieces, when you could literally just spend a goddamn resin and get that crit rate main stat. Like it is a huge break to your account if you're chasing for main stat subsets, because this thing is honestly it saves up your relic farming stamina by a lot. If you know how to use them properly, it makes the process of farming relics a lot faster. At the end of the day, right, it is always going to be RNG. It is always going to be RNG. Do what you will with this information. Hopefully, the law of numbers, the law of probability can help you to your favor, right? So with that, we have come to the end of today's content. Oh, wow, today is all in red. Okay, never mind. My chat learned nothing, right? So join Twitch, join YouTube, join Discord, join Discord, join Twitter. All the best. I'll catch up with you. See you guys next time. Take care.